There is no injustice with God. But look at what Paul says in Romans. Chapter 9, this is where Paul is really meditating on all this stuff with Pharaoh and with Moses and with these plagues and with God's election and all of it. Listen to what he says. Verse 14, chapter 9. What should we say then? Is there injustice with God? Absolutely not. For he tells Moses, I will show mercy to whom I will show mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So then it does not depend on human will or effort, but on God who shows mercy. For the scripture tells Pharaoh, I raised you up for this reason, so that I may display my power in you, and that my name may be proclaimed in the whole earth. So then, God has mercy on whom he wants to have mercy, and he hardens whom he wants to harden. You will say to me, therefore, why then does he still find fault? For who resists his will? On the contrary, who are you, a human being, to talk back to God? Will what is formed say to the one who formed it, why did you make me like this? Or has the potter no right over the clay, to make from the same lump one piece of pottery for honor and another for dishonor? And what if God, wanting to display his wrath and make his power known, endured with much patience objects of wrath prepared for destruction? And what if he did this to make known the riches of his glory on objects of mercy that he prepared beforehand for his glory? The conclusion is that God is in control. He's in control. Salvation is the realm of the living God. And here's something else I was thinking this last week. Does it mean Pharaoh's in hell? Maybe, maybe not. Right? Maybe, maybe not. What if it's just, what if it was just to give us this example? See, Pharaoh, I'm going to harden your heart, and I'm going to make an example out of you. Does that mean Pharaoh's in hell? I'm not going to sit here and say it is or it isn't. I couldn't find it. But what we know is God was in control. God was in control. Paul says it. But we were as foolish as Pharaoh. In Ephesians chapter 2 it says this, and you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you previously walked according to the ways of this world, according to the ruler of the power of the air, the spirit now working in the disobedient. We too all previously lived among them in our fleshly desires, carrying out the inclinations of our flesh and thoughts, and we were by nature children under wrath as the others were also. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love that he had for us, made us alive with Christ, even though we were dead in our trespasses. You are saved by grace. The things I allowed my heart to lead me to made me look foolish in the end. I've shared testimony on TikTok and Facebook now just to show God will save anyone. My heart allowed me or led me to looking foolish. I wanted to be the cool kid. I wind up in high school or during that time period getting hooked on crack cocaine. And everybody in the town who I wanted to be cooler than got to start looking down their nose at me because everybody knew. So I didn't care about that because that wasn't my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal was to be known as being a gangster. I'm a gangster. Everybody's going to respect me. You might not have to like me. You're going to respect me. Oh, and then guess what? I screw that up by telling the cops something about my buddy, implicating my buddy in a crime while I'm trying to manipulate the cops to get out of this thing. And what do they call that in gangster world? Snitching. Right? You don't talk to the cops. Well, so there I go again. My foolish heart. Just 10 years later, I'm in a gang. And guess what comes out? 10 years ago, you did this. Yeah, that's right, I did. Oh, guess what? You're in trouble when you're in a gang and it comes out that you told the police something, right? My gangster image revoked. My heart. But God All of this is his mercy in my life. And the guy who pulled my card on that 10 years later, he said this. He said, I'm going to tell everybody you told on me back when we were teens. I said, go do what you got to do. And he sure did it. And there was nothing I could do. But before he did, he's like, he wanted to blackmail me, right? Because over $500. Well, he gave me 3 days. And on day 3, he said, no more, if I do this, no more walking around with your head up all high, walking with your chest out. And he said, but don't worry, the truth will set you free. Ooh, prophet, because he sung. And that set me free because I could no longer be a gangster. By the grace of God, he didn't have paperwork at the time to show, or I would have been in real trouble. But it doesn't matter because it was on my jacket and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I got out of that life, not because of that, but by the grace of God, I got out of that life. And I share my testimony to show, because it's like, look, I was like, there's the bottom of the barrel, and then there's the worms and stuff down there. The worms were like feeding on me. I was nothing. I was nobody. But God, the best 2 words in Scripture. I was a Pharaoh, and God dealt with me. We are all like Pharaoh.